Let's now bring it back to South Africa. Our economy has been stagnant for the last 15 years, and in that period, unemployment has skyrocketed. What is causing low economic growth and high unemployment in South Africa?
One measure is gross fixed capital formation, which is an economist's fancy term for investment, for savings, for people taking money, not eating the money, not wearing the money, but using the money to build bricks, to buy equipment, to what are you doing? You're using money to make more money. There's not been a lot of that. If you look at that curve, the ANC plan was to have 30% of the money of total GDP, of total annual product, go into gross fixed capital formation. And they said if you have that, if you've got that 30% for 20 years, you'll take South African unemployment right down to levels like South Korea or a country you want to be like. We are at 15%. So that's half. But if you look at, the ANC was aiming at 30.
Yes.
If you look at the actual countries that have been succeeding, they are at 35. And I'm talking about poor countries, like Vietnam is much poorer. Vietnam is 3 times poorer than us per person. But they are at 35% investment out of every rand that they create every year. 35% of it gets saved to be put into making more money the next year. So if you look at the rate of growth, by 2045, they're going to be twice as rich as us. So wouldn't you rather be more like that? We are like this. We are flatlining and declining per person. South Africa had more money per person in 2010 than it does today. There are very few countries that have gone backwards like that. And the reason is we're not saving. Why are we not? People want to save. Why can't they save? 10% of the costs in South Africa go to security. In most countries, more like 2-3%. Here, you have to, if you're in a nice suburb, in like Sandton or something, electric fences, armed security guards, that kind of thing. If you go to, I've done a lot of research in townships, small businesses there. It's like, what are you spending money on? Well, half the money I'm spending on is between the dog that I have to feed to try and keep some criminals from stealing my guineas or whatever, and the other half of the money is to pay back the loan from when all of my stuff was stolen. Someone running a spaza shop, all their stuff gets stolen, then they have to try and start the business over again. This kind of thing is far too common in this country, and it hits entrepreneurs at every level of the spectrum. That's part of it. Then another part of it is the government stealing money, which everyone knows about.
Yeah.
And another part of it is, I must say, laws that kind of chase away money. So when I criticize something like BEE, and we talked about it earlier, like some people like it, some people don't like it. It's a thing to be debated in good faith. One of the things to worry about, whether you like it or not, is what if someone is sitting in America or China or Japan or India or Nigeria? Nigeria's got money, hey? What if someone there wants to invest in South Africa? And the government says you can invest, but we want you to sell 30% of the company to a stranger. You know, that investor might very well think to himself, I'd rather go to Botswana. Botswana's growing faster than South Africa. I'd rather go to Kenya. Kenya's growing faster than South Africa. They're not telling me that kind of story there. It's my business. I want to own my whole business. So then the money doesn't come because money, big money flies very, very quickly. And it flies away faster than you can even sign the law. Just saying we're thinking about this law can chase the money away. So some of the laws have been quite hostile to investment. And if you combine that with the crime, you combine that with poor service, state capture with this effect of the roads crumble and it's hard to do the logistics. Those things all together add up to very low fixed capital formation. And the next generation pays the price because this generation has been kind of able to take advantage of the infrastructure, the factories that were already built in the 2000s and the 90s. But now what are we building in the 20s? To help those in the 30s and 40s who will be entering the workforce at that stage? What factories are being constructed now so that they will have a chance to be productive? Or what retail centers or what service centers? Not nearly enough. And so the biggest resultant problem is unemployment.
If we were to remove infrastructure bottlenecks and cut excessive red tape that make our country less appealing to investors, where should investors be investing in our economy to get good returns?
It's a good question. If you cut the infrastructure bottlenecks, I think that a lot of investors would quickly climb into construction. South Africa's infrastructure is pretty good. South Africa's light manufacturing and heavy manufacturing are probably, in the medium term, the kinds of sectors that I think investors would be very eager to climb into. Just briefly, if you look at South Africa's manufacturing sector, our real factories and stuff like that, it has declined relative to the size of everything else precipitously since the late 2000s. The only thing that hasn't declined is food processing. So, coup beans and sausages and that kind of thing. We're still in Africa just about the best at that because we've got good farming, and then we've got factories that work and can deal with those goods, and then you export it or you consume it domestically. What we should be doing is growing manufacturing. And we can do that for the same reason that sector is still surviving, which is that we've got natural resources. We've got a lot of platinum group metals. We've got the capacity with coal to make good quality steel. And we've got access not just to local potentially growing markets, but to markets across the region. If you had more energy, so you remove the bottlenecks, what does it mean? It means right now, if you grow the economy, we're going to have load shedding again. So if you remove the bottlenecks, the first thing would be adding energy. So people would be building more energy power. The next thing that would come after that would be more steel refineries, more mines, and more light to heavy manufacturing to get us back in the position where we're making more cars. It's like we make a few Mercedes and a few Hummers, and those numbers have been dwindling. But this is the kind of country that could be the motor vehicle manufacturing hub of electric vehicles or whatever in the 2040s. But it's going to take time to get there. The first thing is going to be the light and the medium, and the energy. And the reason I say those rather than services sector is that in the services sector, South Africa's financial service, banking, insurance, pension fund management, and stuff like that is extremely advanced relative to countries our size. Our bankers make a lot of money and they do a lot of good work. So I don't think that's going to be the first place to add more. And retail, similarly, it's like we are quite developed there. It's more in the muscle power kind of region that I think we've got room to grow. And the other side of that, part of what I think is good about it, is South Africa's skills base right now is not competitive in terms of, are we producing masses of great corporate lawyers that can outcompete London in terms of turning this place into that kind of center of corporate finance? No. Our education base isn't there yet, and you've got to learn to walk before you can fly. So while we're learning to walk, the place to go is manufacturing, where it's brain power and muscle power working together. That's the kind of skill you can get from, welding, learning it at a technicon. This is the kind of thing that is seriously achievable for this generation if we start turning it around. So growing those job opportunities together with growing those capital investments, that's the marriage of both sides, capital and labor, that I think is potentially very fruitful here.